welcome to Flory Models daily vlog here on Monday, Bank Holiday Monday in the UK, 2nd of May. So we're into May already. Crikey, isn't time flying right the way through. So for me, over the weekend, yesterday and that, I ploughed on nicely with the actual Halifax. To be honest, we had the silvering thing, so we've videoed about doing the silvering work and all the rest of it, and we ploughed through very, very nicely. And it's coming together. So we've done the first stage of the weathering just lightly. So we put in some pre-staining. To be honest, we had some colour left over that I did as like an off-shot colour, things like that. So we just put that down and I just streaked it over the wings. Then it's going to be sealed down now, left for 24 hours, and then we get in. First coat will be a wash, obviously, and then we're going to go through to town on the weathering on that one. So that one should be together by the end of the week. As you can see, I've gone along, we've done the props. To be honest, I wasn't happy with the resin one, so I've actually redone the kit ones and reshaped the prop tips, because these had the sort of paddle type props on them, which are totally wrong. It has to be the thinner blade ones. So we've actually reformed, reshaped them completely and done them like that, and the nose as well. So that's put those in. We've got the gear all together, the flat spots are on, the gear doors over behind me, we've got all the bombs, the bits and pieces and everything else like that, and the racks. So we're really in a very strong position to have this one pretty much knocked out by next week. The actual airliner, which is over here, which is now completely dry, and everything else like that, to be honest, is completely finished. Just gonna have to put in a couple of aerials, lumps, bumps, but I'm not gonna do that until it's in. I was really hoping my Swager, which is a system, it's like a spring that fits down inside the copper pipe, would be in to go along with this guy for bending it, okay? Because it needs both, otherwise what it'll do is kink, as I proved in this one when I was testing it. So it does kink, so it should be in, because obviously it's bank holiday, but hopefully it'll be here tomorrow. If it's here tomorrow, we can do that, get that one mounted up on the stand, because really that's all it's waiting for now, and then we can actually then push on with that one, getting it mounted up, the final little bits and pieces on this one, and then we can call it done. Really happy with this one. It's come out far better than I ever thought it would. Very happy with the colours now. The only drawback is this bits in the lacquer work, which I'm just going to bite my lip and just run with. I'm a great believer in that, you know, you could just sit and fret and everything else. I do this because I enjoy it. I love the hobby of making it. I'm not that worried about it being an absolute perfect job. Now, if this was a commission and stuff like that, then yes, obviously it'd have to be done. But because I'm building for me these days and don't have to worry about it, I'm more than happy with the result. I'm very happy as doing my first proper airliner here on Flory Models as a video build. I think it turned out pretty good. Anyway, the part 6 of that one is up. I envisioned it was going to be a 6-parter. It's actually going to be 7, I think, by the time we do all the bits and pieces. That is going to talk about the last bit of the bare metal foil, doing the bits and pieces on that, and then talking about the lacquer. Now, I get asked about lacquer coats and all the bits and pieces a million times a week, it seems. So I have got here the actual stuff that I use. Now, this isn't cheap by any long shot. This is like 70 quid's worth. I managed to pick it up for about 60 quid delivered, which I thought was a very fair price. So this is Nipper. Okay, it's a 2-to-1, so it is a 2-pack, as in it needs a hardener to make it set, because without it, it will never set. It will just be soft and like toffee forevermore. So you do need a hardener. It's a 2-to-1 ratio with it. It works extremely well, and I get amazing results with it. Now, I know when Matt sent me the little decanty pot, which is, I've still got a little bit down on here, those have now done multiple models. I must have done 10 models now with that amount. So this will last me a lifetime, but as Matt has pointed out, the hardener does have a tendency to go off. So what I'm going to probably do is decant it into smaller bottles, so I've just got them carried around and everything else like that, instead of having it in one big one, so that way you don't run the risk of just losing it all in one. But as you said, sometimes after a bit of time, especially the rate I'll be using it, they can get a skin and various bits and pieces. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to decant these out, and then we can have them, and I have enough left over probably to last me about 10 lifetimes. But it is really nice, and I intend to do a lot more gloss work in the future, and lacquer finishes and stuff like that. And I got an idea, I want to play with a few little formulas and things like that. I'm thinking about making a thinner perhaps version of this that I could use for every day doing glass work, because as I say, you can use this, as I did, went straight over all the windows and everything with this one, no problem at all. We've done glass work with it in the past, but I'm thinking about a way of perhaps doing canopies and stuff like that to give them, instead of dipping them, using this stuff. But anyway, that's something we'll be looking at a little bit in the future when I get a little bit more time. Don't forget to join us tomorrow, because tomorrow obviously is the live show. We've got all the guys coming in the studio. Steve will be up in the Northern Fob as well, and hopefully we've got all the technical difficulties and everything set up. Hence now I have my little earpiece here, which means that we don't get any echo. Steve's got one, I've got one. Steve's got a brand new mic. We're going to play with it tomorrow morning, make sure he's all working, he's fine. But as I say, I've got the guys in and they're all going to have to wear earplugs and things like that. All right, so hopefully that'll be there. So please join us, and remember, get all your questions in. I know we've got a load to catch up on, and as me and Steve said, obviously we're going to be doing our live show on Saturday morning live, so you can build along with us. We'll do the questions in there that we don't get through. Also, as it is a new month, we're into May, we are giving away this beast. Okay, so you've seen the review of it by now. This is the Meng's brand new 1/35 scale M1A2 with the old Tusk system all over it by Meng. This is going to go to a lucky member of the Flory Models team, or squad I should say, membership. So remember, all you got to do is be logged in the last 30 days to the main site. So if you're one of these guys that perhaps just go in the forum, okay, and you don't log in via the main site, make sure you log in the main site tomorrow before we pull the draw on this. Then what I'll do is I'll pick somebody completely at random, and then they will be sent this no matter where they are in the world. So you don't have to put in anything in the forum anymore saying count me in or anything else like that. I'll pick you out, but we'll do it on tomorrow's live show, seeing as we're all here together and everything else like that. So, as I said, on Friday, it was a bit late. I was a bit flustered on Friday, to be honest. I had everything going on. But I actually did do replacing the seal sets, and we covered it a little bit here. Okay, so what I thought I'd do, just put it into the show, in today's show, make it a little bit longer for you. So here is the video on using and stripping down and everything Harder and Steenbeck airbrushes. If I can remember which one it is. Hold on, there's always something that gets in the way. Okay. Here we go. Sorry. Okay, so over the time, your airbrush gets a little bit sluggy. You get a little bit of air leak, perhaps you get paint coming back in there. So that means basically it's time for a damn good strip clean and perhaps a new seal set. And to be honest, both of my Infinities down here are really feeling the age. Now, to be honest, one of them, which is this guy down here, isn't too much of a problem, okay, because it's not, the needle isn't too bad, but you might notice this guy on this side, the needle is a lot longer. This one is sitting quite comfortably. So actually the CR Plus isn't too bad, but certainly my Infinity could do with a full workover. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a full strip clean and a new seal set into my Infinity, and I'll show you the difference between the Infinity, the standard one, and the CR Plus. There is some very small but little subtle changes down in there. So what you're going to need, really, you're going to need nothing. You're going to need some cleaning bits and pieces. Kitchen towel is always down handy to have, as you know. Okay, airbrush thinner, you might as well go down that route. Okay, you're going to need some cotton buds. All right, and if you have got the cleaning tool for it, which is this little brush, but obviously you could use other brushes if they're available in the bits and pieces. That's handy to have. Well, you are going to need a screwdriver. There is a tool that comes with it, but generally just a normal flat-headed screwdriver comes in handy. A pair of pliers, the usual bits and pieces like that, because some things can be quite difficult to get apart. Now, you know me, I have almost every single type of Evolution airbrush. Where is my, the smaller one? Oh, he's around here, we spin it around. We've even got the Ultra. So we have the entire Evo family down here, as I call them. Okay, so actually what we've got is, doing them in order. There we go, if we could all fit them in. So we've basically got the Ultra, the Evolution AL, which is just a lightweight version of this one and a lot more expensive. Okay, and then we've got the CR Plus and the normal Infinity. Now the front end of all of these are all identical. The seal sets are all exactly the same. It's only when you start getting into what's known as the CR Plus, things are slightly different, but only in one way. It's literally the seal set internals are slightly different. It's triplicate instead of singles, but we will show. But if you have got any of these airbrushes, they are all going to be exactly the same as the two we're going to show you. Okay, so literally that is the great thing, and the thing I love about the Harder and Steenbeck line of airbrushes. They are all interchangeable, and you think I started with this guy now well over must be coming on for 20 years now that I've had this one, and I still use it every single day. And it's great because you can swap out the internals, you can make little upgrades to it, downgrades, because to be honest, I've downgraded that one down to a standard where it was upgraded before. So, usual strip and clean, okay? So what we're going to do is, as I said, it's the we're going to be doing it on this one. All right, so usual thing, you want to whip the back off. Okay, so you can just take the back section off like that. You want to whip the needle out, so undo the rear chuck and pull the needle out, okay? Hopefully you are quite clean. All right, so that's straightforward. Wipe your colour cup off the top. Now this can be, if it's been on here a while like this one, really difficult to get off, okay? But it should unscrew, okay? And you can unscrew the top section. The front end should come off. Now you don't have to worry about removing the needle guard from the front, they can glue in quite well, but obviously we want these two out. Now these two parts, which is your nozzle and your needle, we have a brand new needle and we have a brand new nozzle as well, okay? But I highly recommend keeping these because might be nothing wrong with it. You might find that actually there's nothing wrong with them and they're working fine. Keep them as a backup, okay? That way if you ever fail, you can go back to these ones, okay? And there you go. You might notice obviously the spray pattern's different and all the bits and pieces, but hey ho. All right, now taking the back off of this one is slightly different to the other versions, okay? Because if you've got something like the Ultra, you don't have the back section on it because it is just one cast piece down in here. You can't actually get it off, okay? But all the other ones down in here, you can see you have this body section that unscrews and you can take it all out just the same as what we're going to show here, okay? So whip the back off. Now there is little pegs in there and should have come with your airbrush. As I say, I've got a few sets of them. If you've ever wondered what these bits are, okay, in with your Infinity, what it actually is that they stick in there and it's designed to crack this open so you can get it open. So if you ever wondered what that bit of metal was, that's what it was, okay? So what you can actually do, once you've got it off, pull it all the way out, okay? Trigger assembly comes out as well, all right? And then just a quick thing, a lot of people ask about what this bit is here, this little cylinder that outdone. What it does, it changes the tension on that internal spring that's inside here. And that spring that's inside here, which you don't have to do this, is this guy, okay? And what it actually does is put more tension on the spring, which puts more tension on your trigger. So if you ever wondered what all that was, now you know, okay? So that's what it is. By screwing this cylinder all the way in, it squashes on the actual spring and makes it tighter. Okay, which means then when it's all the way in like that, the spring has hardly got any movement in it. If you want to have loads of travel on your trigger and it nice and soft, you just unscrew it and you'll notice this is really floppy, okay? But I have mine almost all the way in because I like to have a nice snappy trigger, okay? Now, off the bottom, you can take off the quick detach, and then if this comes off, which it does, then you can actually pull out your air stem, okay, just like so. And that's it, you're left with the solid part of the airbrush here, okay? So we have your seal set and you might be looking in here thinking, God, that's a lot of seals. You don't have to replace every single one, okay? Some of these, naturally, you're not gonna have to worry about, okay? Sometimes I will just cherry pick various bits out of there and then later on, if you notice you've got some problems, then fair enough. Like you might notice this big flat one thinking, where does that one go, okay? Actually, that one, if I remember myself, there it is this one down in here. Okay, so that's the big flat one. So if you've got an air leak from this little one down here, you want to replace that seal. I haven't, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, and you'll find that will follow through all the way. So you've got a seal running around the top, the neck here, this one on the outside. All right, so the thing with that one, if we just drop this one in a little bit tighter. Okay, this one around the neck here is basically this one just here. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that one if it's not playing up at all. This one on the inside is a little disc one, which will be this little guy down here. Okay, it's a little Teflon seal that sits on the top. Okay, so generally working through, this doesn't need replacing at this time. I'm quite happy how that is. It all seems to be working very well. The problem I'm having with this particular one though is just that the internals, I don't think it's ever had a new seal set in here. So what we're going to do is unscrew this and change it. Now this is where it will be slightly different to the other one. This is a little drum, and as you can see a little Teflon seal in here. They are not rubber. Don't be fooled. A lot of people say, oh, the old ones are rubber. They're never rubber in this area. This is the difference you will find between the two. Now this is a CR Plus internal, and I'll try and keep it all so we don't get it mixed out. But if we whip this one out, because to be honest, I'm going to change the seals on this one as well. Okay. You just unscrew it. As I said, you can have a little tool that does this as well, but I don't think it's necessary. Okay. Yeah. So what's happened is, you might notice straight away that the drum is deeper. You can see it like this. This guy here is a lot deeper than the other one. This is because this one has just 2 seals. This one has 3. Okay. Now what happens is, down inside here we have got some seals floating around. So actually what you can do is normally hook them with your needle, and there they are. Okay. So I'm just going to keep that separate. So this little guy down here, and I'm using the back of the needle, there we go, has 3 seals that sit all down, in this little drum. Okay, and they'll just sit down there. And there's the 3 seals from that guy, and then this one has 1. Okay, and that is the difference between the CR Plus has triple seals, 3 of them. The old version just has the 1. Okay, and you might notice, just using the back of the needle, you get plenty of mess and dirt and everything, and the back of this, as you see, is looking a little bit horrid. Okay, so what you might want to do is just give these a bit of a bath. Okay, so I've got down here, you could use lacquer, thinners and all the rest of it, but we're just going to use acrylic because I only spray acrylic paints. So those 2 are just going to sit in there and have a little bit of a bath, literally, just to get them all soaked in and everything else like that. These seals, okay, you're going to bin. Okay, because literally they've had it. You don't want to have them hanging around unless you want to keep them all as a complete backup, as an emergency and everything else like that. But really, you're not worried about those whatsoever. Okay, so what else have we got in the seal set that you could replace if you wanted to? Okay, you've got the seal, which we are going to on this one, which goes around the front here. Now this is notoriously difficult to get off, this seal. So if you ever get trouble with bubbles in your colour cup and everything else like that, this seal is your problem one. Now what can happen is this can just seat wrong or whichever. Now I don't really want to cut it off to get it off, but I want to get it off in one to show you. But here we go. This is this seal here, and you might see it, it's quite crispy looking, and again you've got some various dirt and bits and pieces down in there. These are all 0.2, so I'm going to stick that in as well. I'll tell you what, we're going to top that up because it's going to be a bit of a party in there in a minute. But this seal here is particularly nasty, and again in our pack of seals we do have that one, which is this guy just down here, or is it that one there? The easiest way to marry them up is that one there. This one's slightly bigger. Okay, so that was the one for around the neck that you can actually replace this guy, but I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, and this is our triple seals. Now these 2 little guys down here, okay, that you see at that point are these. Okay, so on the back of your nozzle you've got these, and that's what these 2 down here are, as the ones that go on there. Okay, now you only have 1 on here, and if I don't know if you've ever taken them off, but they do just pop off the end usually. They sort of slip on there, and let's say having nails does help, but you can just get a blade under it and push them off. Okay, but that is what that is on that one. Okay, so if you were flipping it around, for instance, again, if you have trouble with air bubbles coming up through your colour cup, could be this one as well. Okay, and it's venting out. All right, so that's it, simple as that. Okay, so if you wanted to, you could say, right, okay, and we will do, we'll change it on that little nozzle. Okay, so instead of that grubby one just there, we've got a nice fresh one, and it should seat right on top, like so. Okay, and it will sit on there and it will make a nicer seal than these. The trouble with all these things is over time they get pushed and they get flattened and they get a little bit weak. Okay, but for our point of view, we're having a nice new nozzle, of which we've got in here, which is a 0.2. It's a 0.2 needle set and everything else like that, and that is going to sit in here, if I get it correct. Here we go, and obviously this is a brand new nozzle compared to this guy, although we've retrieved the bottom. Okay, so that's the difference, and to be honest, this one is splayed apart, but there is no split on the end of it. But again, we are just going to replace it with a nice new one. Okay, so there we go, that's our new one. So, other things you can actually replace. Down in here, where it can get very, very nasty and very dirty, grab a smaller screwdriver, you can find another one. Now this seal down here is different for different airbrushes, and if I could ever get it out. This guy has been in here for absolute years, and I'm going to have to cut it, I think, to dig it out, because it is that worn in there. In fact, it's horribly dug in. But this here, I'm going to have to cut this completely out, because this one has been in here well over 10 years, because I've never changed it. There we go. That horrible seal there is this guy just down in there. Alright, now personally what I would do is completely submerge this, leave it in soak overnight. Okay, by leaving it in soak overnight, what's going to happen is it's going to soften everything, all the dirt off, and you can rinse it out, and also it just gets in all the deep clean areas and everything else like that. Okay, usual thing, I'd float it in acrylic airbrush cleaner, because that's what's actually in this one. If you've been using lacquer based paints and stuff like that, then you might want to put it in lacquer based. Okay, all this on the side, it's all laser etching, so you're not going to lose any of it. There you go, look, there's my number on there, 3432. Okay, so you know, that's the thing, that would be an ideal. And with this part as well, the trigger assembly, and you might notice, you can see the colour changing in there. It's pretty nasty. Okay, but if you wanted to, you could do this the quick way of cleaning. So we'll just lose that one there. What you can actually do, just for showing you and trying to do it a little bit quicker. Okay, what I'm going to do is stick my finger over the end. We're going to squirt airbrush cleaner into all of this. Then we've got our brush. Okay, now this brush goes in both ends of the little holes. Okay, and it will go absolutely everywhere. We'll just get down into this. Okay, and you'll be, as you can see, all this crusty bits coming off here and absolute everything. It's just plain and simple nasty, and a normal brush. Just trying to find something with a bit of bite. Okay, you can get right down in amongst it all, but as you said, personally I'd soak it, absolute soak this thing. Okay, you can come up with a brush. IPA, you could soak it in that because it's pure alcohol. That means it's not going to hurt anything. Put down into the trigger assembly as well, so you come right out the bottom. And literally everywhere to go in. Okay, one more little flush. Okay, then we're going to come in with cotton buds. Get down into these areas, and you can see where we're eating our way all in. And it is that thing, if your airbrush is getting sluggish, if it just doesn't feel snappy, chances are it just needs a damn good deep clean like this, just to get absolutely in amongst everything, and just to go through the motions. Okay. And already, even to me, looking at it, everything looks so much cleaner in this thing. Okay, a good quality brush was always better. Cotton buds are always better, because I've just left half of it down in my thing now. Okay, if I can move on to this guy. But now everything's looking a lot more metally, cleaner, sharper, and everything else like that. Okay, so what I have got is a little bit of IPA. The reason for using IPA is obviously it's alcohol. It will shift and repel the water and the fluid that's in there, and it will get rid of all the heavyweight nasties. Okay, so we're just coming in all the different areas. Okay, and the last bit, this will shift and then it will evaporate cleanly, nicely. And you'll be amazed how well this does, sort of getting in all the last little bits and pieces. Let's see, we got bits, debris around the neck. And just have a look in there. You're looking just to make sure everything is absolutely out. Okay, and we've got a little bit still going on in here which I don't like. Okay, we're just going to flush it all out, get rid of it all. Okay, all these different areas. Okay, so much better losing grime and dirt and everything. Okay, let's give that a clean up. Now, as I said, because it's alcohol based, it will all evaporate out of here very nicely, so you shouldn't have any problems with it at all. And we're pretty clean in there, happy with how that is. Okay, so let's clean that off of there. We'll go to that. We haven't got any bits. Okay, so we want to replace that top seal. Okay, so we're just going to get our little guys all out here. Okay, this is the one I do believe for the neck, but we've also got this guy. Now this is the Teflon one for in here. Okay, now the thing is we're putting this one in. What I found is it's a bit of a nightmare to seat this guy in, okay, because it's Teflon. So what I did is I come along and I stick this one in. I've got to remember how I even did it myself now. It's a bit tight to get in there because it doesn't like it, but basically what happens is if you look at this guy, you can see it's got the Teflon seal in there. This is just the same, but getting it in is notoriously tight as hell. Okay, so we're just going to knead it, nudge it without splitting it to try and get it to go in. A wider one. Okay, so you can just nudge it in like that, and then what you want to do, come along with your colour cup and seat it on there. Okay, just give it a nudge and then back screw, and that sits in there. Just make sure it's pushed now all the way round and is all the way in there. Okay, if you notice obviously you've got paint coming out, it's not sitting right, you have got to back up because you can go back to the back one. Okay, but that is the primary one just down there. Okay, so we're happy of how that all is. Alright, so what we've got down here now is our seals. There we go, that's that one. Okay, so let's just grab our bucket out of here. So this is the single one we want. Okay, so we're just going to take him out, give him a proper clean, make sure it's all clean, the thread's clear, the back bucket, everything else like that. Okay, and then you can just take one of your little guys, and he's going to sit in. Now he is going to sit a little bit proud, that's purely because of what he is. Now this guy here, there he goes. Okay, you might find the one that's just a little bit shorter. Don't worry about the writing on it, that's just because of where it is. Okay, and that sits on there just like that. Now for seating this in, you can have a tool that does it, but the way I do it, grab your needle backwards, okay, sit this down on there until the needle is in the hole, okay, and when the hole is in there, what you do is just sit that down, then you can come in with your screwdriver and you can screw it in. This is the infinity of making sure I've got the right one. Now what you don't want to do is over tighten that. If you over tighten it, what's going to happen is you can pinch the actual seal in there. So just do it loose, put it in there, seat it in there, and when you're happy, okay, so that's no problem. You've also got here this big old seal If you're wondering what this guy is, this is this one on here, which sometimes can get a little bit messy. Okay, so I am going to switch out mine if I can get him off. I'll tell you the reason this one gets so messy, it's because it touches your hand all the time. God, it's really difficult to get off this guy. You can get little hooks and things to do this properly. Okay, but that's that big guy there. We're going to replace him with a nice new one. Over the threads, sits that in and all the rest of it. Let's grab the trigger assembly out of here. Be amazed the amount of rubbish comes off of all of this. Okay, again, good old white and clean. Make sure as well when you're doing this, one little tip for you is to go down in between. This one actually is looking quite clear, but what can happen is you can actually get a little bit of build up just down in between here. So just make sure you are clear, because obviously that's how the needle is going to slide in. If it can't get through, then you can have real problems. Okay, so then what we can actually do is start to put this back together. So before we do, we're going to grab a little bit of lube. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a tiny bit on the bottom, okay, and a tiny bit on the inside. That's just to help it all flow through and everything else like that. This is going to sit on the top, just like that. Make sure the part goes down the back so it's nice and clear all the way through. If you pull this all the way back, it just makes it easier to go in. So you screw the back in and then go forward. Okay, and then you're looking for it to be nice and slippy. What also I'm going to do is just going to put a tiny bit of lube just on the back here, and then what that enable is it'll flow through this collar quite nicely, and it should be nice, clean and snappy. Now the needle can still, this trigger can still pull out because the needle's not going through it, okay, but once the needle goes through it will stop that. We can put the air stem on the bottom. We're not going to change the seals on that because we think it's fine. Okay, and that is really nice. Okay, no problem in there at all. We spoke about it before. What you could also do is just lube lightly the top. This is just to help the nipple on the top be nice and triggery and bouncy. Okay, so we'll just stick that in here, screw that all up. Alright, so we're all happy of how that is. You can put the bottom one on. Again, we're not going to change that one. That one's in the bag still because it's there. Alright, so we know that's a good seal, but if you do have problems, then fair enough, perhaps you want to take care of it. Alright, so that's that one. And then the end nozzle and cap. Again, we'll just grab it out, stick it down into here. Again, just cotton bud into here. You'll be amazed what we'll get. You should see, and technically that's just air. That shouldn't even have anything in. Okay, no problem with that at all. I don't think well, I might be able to. I was going to say get my end off. There we go, it's off, it's clean. Make sure this hole is nice and clear, so I'm going to use the old needle. I'm just going to pop it in there. Just going to move it round and just scrape the top. Make sure you've got no sort of nasties on the top of this guy or anything else. Okay, so you want absolutely fine. So what we're going to do is going to grab our replacement seal, which is this one I do believe, which is going to fit over here. So again, we're just going to pop it over, sits down nice and snug, no problem with that at all. Okay, we've got our brand new nozzle, so we're just going to seat that into our housing, no problem with that. And then we're just going to screw it in. Okay, and then we can put the end guard on. Again, you give it a good clean whilst it's out because you'll be amazed what gets on the inside of this thing. Okay, so the needle guard can go on. Okay, no problem with that. And then we can take our brand new needle. Okay, so this is 123730, which is the 0.2 needle, which is what I always use. Be very careful with it. Okay, but they look lovely when they're new comparing to the old one, as you can see, but they are lethally sharp. Okay, so once we've got that, we are literally just going to feed that very lightly and gently because we're not sure about that seal that we've put in. We want to make sure it's sitting correctly and it's seated nicely. Okay, so that's in. We can screw that up. Now what's happening is that seal may be a little bit tight. It's just not, if you look at the trigger, it's not as snappy as it should be. Okay, and it could be that it's having trouble with that seal. So what we're going to do is we're just going to retract the needle, take the needle out, we're going to lube the needle, okay, right the way through. And then what we're going to do is just going to feed that needle, and we're just touching and then pulling back, and now it's sliding so much easier. Alright, steady at the back, I know. Okay, but that is really easy now. And again, you're not pushing, you're literally going in and just feeling until it reaches the wall and then stop. Screw it up and look at the difference that makes. Okay, and that needle is all firing on all cylinders. Okay, very happy with that. Take our end, we can seat that on. And I'll tell you what, amazing how much difference that feels. It feels looser, sharper, lovely response and all the rest of it, okay? So that is in there just like that, no problem at all. Last little bit here, obviously we've got the grime and horribles and yucks and ugh, it's horrible stuff. All around the thread of this guy, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of cleaner just down in here. We're just gonna clean the thread. Colour cups again, the great things with these airbrushes, but look at that, it's falling off. Okay, so we're just going to get rid of all the nasties and the horrible bits. Okay, and then what we're going to do, seat this guy on the top, and there we go. Technically, that is now a brand new airbrush. Okay, no problem with that at all. Okay, and then obviously we need to test it, so we're going to grab some air. Ugh. Okay. So straight away you hear that difference? What it is, this front is loose, so tightening it sounds like a normal airbrush again. Absolutely fantastic. So we're just going to pop some thinners in here, and we're going to look for bubbles. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a few bubbles coming in the top. Okay, again, what's happening is this front isn't done up tight enough. So now we have no bubbles. I know we got some sat there, and that's what it was. It's just that needle bedding in. But hopefully you can see. And from me, that is honestly like a brand new airbrush. That feels like a really nice brand new airbrush. So as I said, it just I'm just going to clean off this paint on the side because I hate looking at it. I'm usually very good with my airbrushes. As I say, this particular airbrush that's in my hand now, it's well over 10 years old. And as I say, I don't like it when they get dirty and horrible, but there we go. That is that guy done, working like a brand new airbrush. No problem at all. You could replace all the seals, as I said, there's just ones in there you wouldn't really worry about. The last up, we just put the other one together just for temporary. You've seen me do that one. What we're going to do, this is the only difference internally between the CR Plus and the one we were just looking at, and this is that drum. As you can see, we've got blue paint on the wrong side. That's never a good sign. You never want to see paint on the other side of this drum, okay, because what's happening is it's actually beating the seals. Okay, so we're just going to clean off the harder stuff, okay, that's built up around all this area that we don't want. And then what you've got is the 3 seals. Now these are bigger, but there you go, 1, 2. Actually, I must admit, the third one is going to be extremely tight, but what it is, they pack in there, they actually push in, okay? But the 3, you need them to all line up. So what we're going to do is, we're going to do it the same way as we've done the others. We're actually just going to come in, okay, and we're just going to, like making a kebab, stick them all on just like this, okay? And then they feel really tight on there, okay? So you have it like this. And then what we're going to do, we're going to come up to our system. Now what I'm going to do is I will pop back and clean this, but generally what we're going to do is stick him upright, feed it in, and then the other way of doing it, of course, if you whip the front off, you can actually push the needle all the way forward, leaving it at the back just like that. And then we can just come in and we can screw up that screw. And again, it's feeling it. Don't overdo it. Well, as soon as it gets tight, that's it. You stop right there. and then I can actually see right the way through, which is a good sign. But usual thing is when you first come in, trying to feed this through, very, very tough, okay? But a bit of this, and as I say, I have got another needle set complete for this guy as well. But once that goes, there we go, it's starting to slide nicely. Maybe a little bit tight. You want it to be free flowing. It should have no real resistance through there at all. So what I'm going to do is just going to back this guy out just a touch. So I'm just going to pull it back a hair, and it will release some of the pressure. There we go. On there. Okay, so if you find you're trying to push the needle through and it just won't go, just release the pressure a little bit, and there you go, it's just falling through there now, no problem at all. Okay, so otherwise when you release the trigger, it'll just carry on because there's too much friction. Okay, but what I'm going to do is obviously the same as we just done to this guy right the way through, but this is my very, very old Infinity, and to be honest, nice to have it back. That feels absolutely fantastic. No longer is it sticking, playing up and all the rest of it. It's just generally a really nice airbrush. So there we go, hope that helps. Changing your seals, really straightforward. This one is exactly the same for all the other ones in the Harder and Stevec range, apart from obviously the CR Plus range, and then that way, the only difference is the one I just showed you with the triplicate one in there. Use the kebab system, feed them through, pull it through, screw in the back, but just don't over tighten it. And there we go, so it's simple. Seals, as I said, that first airbrush I was working on, which is my normal Infinity, it's probably 15 years old now. I was trying to work out exactly when I had it and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's definitely between, can't remember exactly, but 10 and 15 years old, somewhere in there. And to be honest, that's the first time I've actually replaced the internal seal on it. So it just shows how good it is. And when you look at that actual seal, it seems to be okay. You know, it's nothing I would like, wow, that's it. None of the actual H&S brushes have rubber seals in there. Okay, I know a lot of people think they do. The only time they had rubber seals was things like on the air stem, they were rubber in there. That used to cause trouble because you put hot lacquers and it makes the rubber swell, and that can be a little bit of a problem, as can if you've got bubbles coming up through the air cup. So if you've got in the actual colour cup itself, you've got bubbles coming up. Sometimes if you use hot lacquers, things like that, it can make the seal swell on the front and you get a tiny little air leak, and then you get all types of problems with it. But generally, as I said, lots of fun, no problem at all. It's very straightforward, it's very easy to do. Don't worry about it too much. You can't wreck your airbrush particularly and all the rest of it. The other question is about the actual seal set that I used. The one I use is for the Infinity, but you can do the normal ones with it as well, because it comes with a triplicate of seals and the standard one as well. So, you know, you take your choice from it, so don't worry too much about it. I think the other ones are a tiny bit cheaper because they don't have all the seals in there, but if you want to future-proof yourself, you can just do it like that. But it's highly recommended having a spare needle and a spare seal set, because that way when you're working, anything goes wrong, you can just fix it. There is no problem to it. Okay, so that's why I always say keep your old nozzles, keep your old needles, just give them a clean up, soak them, and then put them into IPA afterwards. The alcohol then will totally evaporate and it will leave no sort of residues and everything else behind in your needles and that way if you do have a massive accident, you do bend your needle, you've got something to go back on. Okay, it's not going to be as good as a brand new needle set, but they always have. And to be honest, I've got tons of needles back there from all over the years, and I just never throw any of them away because trust me, they come in extremely handy. The other thing to look at is flow on the go. Hold on, where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's try it. So if we do this, well, actually, there's the tip section. If you're wondering how you can watch that video for members, if you want to see the high version of that one, it's in 1080, all the rest of it, it's a little bit cleaner and sharper. You can go in there and, well, we can have a quick look in here. So down in here, as you can see, we've got the tip section and everything else. That is all up there. Okay, so if you want to go through, we've got things on the lacquering and glosses and flat, smoke staining, what we got, flat coats and frosting and spitting, okay, which I think we covered in that one as well. All right, so if you do want to go and have a look, you can see it down in there. It's very straightforward. Just pop in there and have a look. Okay, so that's on the main site in the tips section in your tutorials. Okay, okay, so over here we have flow. Hold on, where are we? I'm trying to work out where we are. Here we are. Right, okay, Flo at the moment has been with Brett, okay? And Brett's been obviously making snow angels with Flo, as we can see down here. Flo's been doing the record stores, look, getting into all his music and everything else like that, playing the guitar, who knew? Okay, and making his way round, okay? So if you are interested in having Flo, we've had some great donations through and everything else like that. Neil has done a fantastic job of doing this. Now this is in the actual today section right at the top of the forum, and it's exactly how you do it, okay, and some rough dates of where he's going to be and everything else. Okay, so then what you can actually do is put your little flag in the pin, so to speak. Okay, so what you do, you go up to here. As we can see, this is Flow on the Go's little map, okay, and I'm just trying to see where we are. There we go. I don't know if I can make this go out from here. I haven't actually tried this. If we go, there we go. So this is where Flow is heading around the world to all the different locations in Australia, New Zealand, up around the Philippines, everything else like that, Dubai and everything else. I know there's loads of you want to add a little bit more down on there, so you can actually put your thing in there. At the moment, I do believe Flo is heading over to Vegas at the moment, and then it's going to be working her way back along the sort of south coast around about here, and then going to be working over, obviously we'll make our way up to Washington State before she starts to make the jump across the actual Pacific. So I thought she was going to go to Hawaii, perhaps not. So what I'm thinking is we're going to take her down to New Zealand via Australia, and then we'll work our way up. Obviously, who is that? Can I see that one just off the top? There we go, to Carl. All right, and then so with Carl, and then going to go over to the UAE, up through the Middle East, and then obviously up into Europe, and then we're going to be doing obviously down in the Azores, and then back into the UK and everything else like that. Okay, so definitely should be a lot of fun, as you can see, working her way around there. Sorry, I've got a mouse and I'm halfway looking at another screen. Okay, so lots to do on there, no problem. If you want to go off, if you want to get involved, thank you very much for all your donations and everything else like that. You guys have been absolutely amazing. We're going to raise loads and loads of money, and we're having a lot of fun with it as well, because at the end of this, or probably in stages, I'm going to do montage videos with all the photos you've done with her and everything else like that. And what we're hoping is Flo will be back in time for Telford this year in November. We're going to have a bit of a collection there with photos and various pictures and everything that Flo's been up to. Probably stick a laptop there with the video playing as well and everything else like that. So big thank you to everybody who's helping out with that. So there we go, big show today. As I say, something a little bit different. Tell me if you like it. If you don't, if you want to see the videos in amongst the show, let me know. So it's live, so actually as that was playing, I can go and have a cup of tea. Brilliant, come back and then I'll sit down here as if nothing's happened. Hey look, this is the thing with live editing, I could just put it in, this way it just runs, alright? But there we go, let me know how you think about it. If you'd like to see more things like that, then obviously I can stick them in and everything else. So anyway, join us tomorrow night. We're going to be on air live, totally live, God help us all, with the guys. We're going to be here at 7 p.m. Steve will be joining us as well, so you can ask us anything, and it's all the guys going to be here as well, so you just feel free to ask us anything you like and we'll do it like that. Also, if you are in the southwest of Devon, next Sunday 6 till probably 9 or 10 or whenever everyone's finished, we'll be having an open house here, Flory Models, for our usual monthly geek meets, which I intend to get back online because obviously we haven't done one for the last 6 months or so because we've been really busy. But it'd be lovely to have you down here if you want to come down. Then in the summer we'll get the barbecue going, the doors open and everything else like that, weather permitting. So there we go, that's it from me. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.